Hi, Kenneth. Thank you very much for joining us today. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Good, thank you. Okay, so I'm pretty sure a lot of our clients will be very interested to find out your life in Australia right now and why you migrate. So maybe we will start with a little bit of you introducing yourself.
Okay. Well, like I said, I'm Kenneth. I've been educated in Singapore. I did uni in Australia. Went back. I went into NIE. I went into teaching. So I taught in Singapore at Jing Secondary School. I taught English and elements of business skills. So after I finished with NIE, I went into my permanent posting. Uh, After 3 years, I left. Once my bond was up, I decided to leave.
Okay, so what would you say the occupation actually compared to Australia as a teacher and in Singapore? What are the differences?
Um, well, I feel that in personally, I feel that in Singapore, my experience as a teacher, while I've learned a lot, I have enjoyed my time there. But a lot of times, teachers don't necessarily do all the things that teachers are meant to do. Instead, we are always asked to do a lot of administrative duties, even our performance management systems, filling in all these forms and all that. Yeah, these are things that as a teacher, I'm not sure I really signed up for. So it takes away teaching for me personally. It takes away a lot of time that I use to improve my lesson delivery. When I'm spending all my time just fighting fire, filling in all these forms, documenting all these kinds of procedures, doing all kinds of like jumping all through all kinds of hoops, just because I need to fulfill all these kinds of organizational requirements. So that's something that I didn't get too excited about. So after 3 years, I think a lot of teachers will usually in Singapore after 3 years when your bond is up from NIE, um, in the fourth year you know that at the end of the fourth year you have you 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 get your connect plan. So there is a sum that the government will use, and this is a carrot that they use to hold you for one more year. So nobody would actually leave after 3 years at the conclusion of their bond. So that time when I chose to leave, everybody thought I was mad. But even my parents were not happy. My dad was like, "You're just throwing away money, like, and then you're just throwing away a good role in school. You were going to get promoted and so on and so forth, but you decide to leave." But I now, on hindsight, I don't think I've made the wrong decision at all. In fact, every single day I feel even more vindicated with my decision to move to Australia, because right now I'm at a school where I'm actually well supported um, by a lot of different personnel in the school. So my role here is specifically just to deliver lesson material, polish up my lesson delivery skills, working with students, taking care of their well-being, organizing activities for them. So it's a lot more meaningful in that sense. I get up and I don't feel like, oh, I'm just going into work just to manage like a whole lot of backlog and of administrative duties. Here you actually have personnel that are there to fill out all these forms for you, to do all these things for you. So at the end of the day, you have people coming up to you, okay, is this okay? Are you happy with it? We prepare all this documentation for you. All you need to do is just look through it and sign. So in that sense, I feel a lot more supported. I feel that I'm actually paid to be a teacher here. Like, for example, like in my previous school, from every morning when I went to school, and I taught in a school that had normal technical students, NT students, and like it was 1 to 40 ratio. And in the morning, I'm sure a lot of teachers will know, like if you teach NT students, your absentee rates probably would be fairly high for a variety of reasons, and you'll notice that um, you or rather the school requires that you go and call all these parents or their homes to go and document why they were not here, and you have a window of about 10 to 15 minutes before your class starts for you to go and go through the entire list. And yeah, so every morning this is the kind of thing that I have to go through and manage, and that's something I didn't really appreciate, because why couldn't you get someone to make all these calls for me and so on? But I did it anyway. So but so it was very refreshing when I came to my school today, and I find that in the morning there's someone to do all this and document all this information, and it goes into the student portal, so much so that when I'm taking off the attendance, straight away all the reasons as to why so and so is not here, and did their parent inform the school and so on. It's all been done already by the admin department.
So actually, it means that you can focus more just on teaching and not other admin works. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. So actually, right, was this the reason that why you wanted to migrate to Australia, or it was because of other reasons as well?
Well, I didn't want. Well, to be honest, I didn't know what the culture was going to be like in Australia, or what the teaching work culture would be like in Australia. So I don't have any impression as to how things run before I decided to move. But I wanted to move because of the life in Australia that I experienced when I was in uni. The great weather, the fresh air, the fact that people are a lot more laid back here. So that's one of the reasons why I wanted to leave. I find that as much as I will always tell people that I am Singaporean, and I will always be proud to be Singaporean, I am not fond of the life there. I think we're all just getting by, and speaking to a lot of my friends, even my colleagues and all that, like no one's really excited about work. Every time I ask how's work and how's this and that, like, yeah, people start you know that you start to experience furrowed brows, and the very common response would be that, yeah, work's work, or work sucks, and all that. Like, I don't find myself ever wanting to say these things. Like, I'm still, even up till today, I'm still excited about getting up and going to school, and I am happy with my interaction, and I get a lot more respect in the workplace, and it's a bit ironic because before I left Singapore, people were telling me, why do you want to go and teach in Australia? You want to be second-class citizen? I have not personally not experienced that at all. In fact, being someone from Singapore, I think people have a lot of respect for the educational standard in Singapore, and being here, once they watch, they watch and experience your work ethic. For the most part, I think people very quickly respect our abilities and our work ethic, and then from then on, yeah, the opportunities will almost autopilot already. Like you'll be awarded a lot of different opportunities in terms of in your workplace, or at least in my experience, that's what I found fairly easy to come by. So ultimately, I moved on to this school with this my final school right now, where I got offered like a permanent ongoing position, and by then, from my first year up till now, I think yeah, I received a pay increment of at least 30-40%, which was,
Wow.
yeah, I totally never saw that coming. So it was, yeah, I'm grateful for that, and I've been very happy in my new environment since I've been here close to 2 years now, and after the first year they actually promoted me. So again, I'm really thankful, and that's a very pleasant experience so far.
Okay, thanks for sharing. Okay,
Yeah.
so actually, right, other than work, so what is a typical weekday and a weekend is for you?
Okay, my weekday, usually I get off. My school's work culture is quite unique in the sense that there isn't a requirement for us to be there outside of classroom and meeting times. So and this was something quite interesting that I experienced when I came here first. They told us that yeah, you have the flexibility to work remotely if you want to. As long as you're here for all your meetings, you're here to meet, you're here to teach, you're here to meet parents and so on. All the school events, you're here. Outside of that, we don't really care. If you don't have classes in the morning, for let's say you don't have classes in period 1, you can come in period 2, or if you finish classes in period 2, you can go home. So I do have, there's quite a bit of flexibility in my work hours. So in that sense, I get a bit of freedom outside of work timing to go and pursue other activities like sports, and I can spend a bit of quality time with my partner. We can go out there, we can cook at home. There's a lot more work-life balance in that sense, and like I said earlier on, I was quite surprised by the work culture because when they told me that I could leave when I didn't have lessons or I didn't need to be around when I had no classes, I was really very surprised because coming from Singapore, you tend to be a bit suspicious when people tell you these kinds of things. You're wondering if is this a trap or is someone looking to sabo you? Right? When they tell you these kinds of things, like it's almost like, oh, you if you don't have lessons, you leave, or if you leave, but we're watching you. We're watching you. At the end of the year, this one will impact your performance management. It will impact your EPM mass, all this kind of thing. Like it's not the case here. I went when I was initially at my school, I probed a bit more and asked my colleagues. At some point, my colleague realized that she said, no. If you need to go and there is nothing on, you can really leave. It's not a trap. So yeah, I found that very refreshing, and I start to realize that there is they don't police how you work. At the end of the day, they are quite results driven. You don't receive complaints from parents. You generally demonstrate a strong work ethic. Like your bosses like how you work. You complete your tasks on time. You meet deadlines. You contribute positively and all that. Outside of it, they don't care what you do. They don't care if you're at the office, you're at your desk, or you disappear, or you go back home, and so on. When it's time to stop working, they stop working. So that's the work culture that I really appreciate, and because of that, it allows me to maintain a very healthy amount of work-life balance. Don't get me wrong, there's some terms it's seasonal. There's some terms where I am flat out. I spend weekends doing work, meeting my deadlines and so on. But there's some terms where I have nothing happening. Nobody bothers to come and disturb me at all. When I teach year 12s, I teach year 12s. So when they graduate, there's usually a lot of free time towards the end where I'm just doing nothing at all, and nobody ever bothers me, and I'm free to leave if I don't have lessons. So yeah, that's really really refreshing. But again, I can't say I speak for every single school because I understand the state schools will have a different set of regulations behind staff hours and so on. Yeah, so in that sense, it really depends on which schools you go. But mine is not the only school that operates this way. I'm sure there are quite a few that does this.
So, actually, as an English teacher, right, in Singapore, do you think other subject majors will have better opportunities? Because
as I was sharing with peers earlier on, right? It's personally, I feel that English teachers is a bit more of a hard sell here. Because putting aside racial discrimination, and let's not talk about that first. But if you were very honest and you were an Australian, an Angmo Australian, so to speak, it's hard to sell it's a hard sell when you have a yellow skin teaching English to them. It's like you're asking an Angmo to come and teach Chinese, how to speak Chinese. Even though that Angmo might be really good in Chinese, it's still a hard sell image-wise in that sense. So English would be a bit harder, a bit more challenging. So I know for a fact that outside of English, right, science and maths are in demand. So if for science teachers, yeah, there are a lot of opportunities for science teachers here. Math teachers as well, but mostly I know science is an area that they are keen to develop further in. So I think science teachers, chemistry, physics, especially physics. Actually, I remembered a write up, an article on that. It's hugely in demand here.
If you were to start all over again, would you actually go to Australia sooner, and why?
For sure, I haven't regretted coming to Australia once at all in all my time here. In fact, it just keeps getting better. So and I'm like 3 years here already now. Yeah, if I had to start all over again, I think I was probably a lot more unsure of my decision at the start than I am right now. right now I am very sure that I made the right decision. If I had to start all over again 100 times, you ask me to start over again 100 times, I will pick this route again.
So actually, as a teacher, right, is there like an ideal age when you should move over to Australia, like as a teacher, where like because they're halfway transferring from Singapore to Australia, is there such thing?
Uh, if you ask me, okay, taking away the consideration that you might have little kids and all that, moving might be a bit challenging if you want to move with the whole family and so on. If you ask me, the ideal age to move to Australia is once your NIE bond is up, your MOE bond is up. So then you don't get entrenched in the Singapore system because let's be honest, I think MOE does, or the civil service in Singapore does a very good job of holding you on. After so many years, we will dangle a carrot for you to continue staying on, or we dangle something in front of you to stay on. If you leave, you will lose this and that. So it makes it very hard for you to leave the longer you stay in the system. So personally, the best time to leave is after you're done with your bond in NIE.
Okay, understand. So actually, all right, maybe another question. How is your experience with IMSS?
My experience with AIMS, well, I think, yeah, I found my experience with AIMS just exceptional. From day one, I met Piers a long time ago. You know, he brought me through the whole process. He had his team to support me. Yeah, I've never looked back since. And even after I migrated, even after I was in Australia, anytime I had a problem or I had a question, that I remember getting in touch with him. And when I was with my permanent resident visa and all that, when I was looking for answers around me in Australia, like I got directed to an immigration lawyer who quoted me a few $1,000s just to answer a few simple questions. I remember at that time I was quite stressed, and all I did was I was like, no, I don't really want to pay this money. I'm still delivering food on a bicycle right now. So I went and got in touch with Piers, and straight away he was able to respond, and he was very reassuring, and he told me what are some of my potential options. So like even after all that time, he was just very keen to help me out. So I think I think I personally I've had like nothing short of an exceptional experience with AIMS.
How long was actually the whole application process for yourself back then?
I think I remembered it to be maybe slightly under 8 months.
Oh wow.
It was really, really quick. I got through it really quickly. I think I was also part of the critical skills list as well, skilled migration, and that helped. And so in that sense, I think I got my PR and everything really quickly, and it was really very fast free. Like all that I just basically every stage AIMS just tell me what I needed to do, and that was it. So in 8 months I received my PR, and then I had 1 year to go and complete my first landing, and then the rest of it is history.
Thank you for the nice feedback. Okay, so maybe any other words that for those who are exploring to migrate to Australia from your side?
Well, I would say that just believe in the fact that I think Singaporean educators are well regarded. So as long as you are, that's something you need to hold on to. Don't come here and start feeling inferior to teachers here and so on. Of course, I'm not asking you to come here and be all arrogant and obnoxious, but ultimately, like if you have belief in your own ability, and Singapore's standard of education is high, so it's well regarded around the world. So if you come here, be humble, persevere, I think you will make headways in your career here. Singapore's standard of education is high, so it's well regarded around the world. So if you come here, be humble, persevere, I think you will make headways in your career here. For those looking to move as a family, I've previously I've spoken to families that want to move, and they were teachers as well, and I would hear things like the mother or father wants to move here. They want to move into a completely Asian community. They want to put their children in an Asian dominated school and so on to ensure that they live in an Asian environment. My advice is then don't leave Singapore because you're not ready for an experience that's dissimilar to what you're looking for in Singapore. So don't waste all your effort because it's going to be hard. Life is going to be hard for you here because you're not ready to migrate. If you want to migrate and if you want the migration to be a positive experience, I think you need to embrace the fact that we are the minorities here and it's a great place to live in. There is a lot of space, there's a lot of greenery. Your life, your work-life balance, there's a lot more that you can do with your time here. So just accept the fact that you are moving into a different environment. You will be surrounded by people that look different from you, that talk different from you, and so on. But for the most part, you will get by. And yeah, a lot of my personal experience will support that. My close friends, my best friend that has migrated from Singapore, also with AIMS. He's an engineer now. He's establishing himself in Sydney. We still meet each other every other month. We speak every day. We we've really embraced our lives here, and we haven't looked back since. But yeah, we've just enjoyed being here. We're still really proud to be Singaporeans. We'll tell everyone we are Singaporeans, but yeah, but we don't ever want to go back. We're not looking back at all. So again, if you ask him and myself 100 times over, we will always pick this move to Australia.
Okay, maybe just curious also, have you ever encountered any racism?
Personally, I have not. Not in Melbourne anyway.
That's actually very good. Okay, it has come to an end to the session today, and we really thank you very much for sharing all this information with our clients, and hopefully this will help to make their decision better. So thank you very much for your time, Kenneth. Okay, we wish you all the best and stay safe.
Thank you, Sugi. You too. All the
Thank
best.
you. Bye bye.